Hey, Rosa Maria, I feel like I lost you somewhere. So we're going to go over this, and I hope it makes sense. There's some things that are missing, and I went through and did some corrections of some other things. So what I need you to do is, of course, review this, and I hope it makes sense to you. And I need you to turn into me a real, full research question. Options for face mask. It's sort of informational. Have details on your piece. Kind of work on that. I really thought we were in a better place, but I'm not sure where that was. It may be in Module 6 or something, but let's work on that before the final project. I don't want you to lose points on the easy part. All right, so scholarly articles, something went terribly awry in your copy and paste because this kept showing up on almost all your sources. This weird thing, I'd written you about it because I'm like, I don't know what this is, but it's a parenthesis, an ending parenthesis, and a colon. It has no business being anywhere. But in the end of it all, what it appeared to be is you mushed a whole bunch of things together that shouldn't be together. I'm not sure how it happened. I tried to look at some of your older work to piece together what this should have been. Now, in Module 7, I had links to all these individually. So I copy and pasted them where they belong on your paper so that you can review them because they were part of Module 7, but I want to make sure you see what they are and look at them and see how your pieces should appear. Also, I had an example of my work I'm going to attach to make sure you saw what it was really supposed to look like. So you'll see me, I don't know what really happened. So I think, and you need to check this because you're going to have to write an annotation and a summary on this. I think in the end of it all, that squishness that you meant maybe this because it's available in full text, and I have the author's last name, first initial, very important. They're connected by an ampersand before the last name. It ends with a period. Then you're going to have the publication date. That is inside the parentheses, ends with a period. Then you're going to have the title. The title, the only things that are capitalized are the first word, a word following a colon, and a proper noun or noun phrase. Also acronyms, part of that piece. Then that ends with a period. The next thing is General Hospital Psychiatry and volume number. Those are italicized. Yes, why is this italicized? I don't know, but it is. It's always hard to remember. If you had an issue statement, it would go here, parenthesis 1 in parenthesis. It would not be italicized. Then you'd have a comma, and beginning and ending page numbers ends with a period. And when you have a digital object identifier versus a URL, you use the DOI. And those will only turn up in your scholarly articles. Now, in this, you list up to 20 names in the reference. However, 20 names in your parenthetical or narrative citations would be a mess. So if it goes over 3, you go to this, et al., and it ends with a period. And you also would use it here in your narrative piece. Let me go up and look at the example. I want you to see I'm going up here to look at the sample and make sure that period is after AL, and it is. So you need to know I'm not going to memorize this, so I'm always having to refer to something. And that's why I put all those links in Module 7. There's a lot of different ways to go. I prefer APA style manual blog, and that's what I'm putting in here because it shows you a lot of things you need to do. So next thing, I had no idea what this is. You are missing the title, you're missing a journal name, you're missing all the goodness. So I had to go find that. And again, I'm not sure I found the right thing, but I put your list. You need authors, you need the date, you need the full date, just not part of the date if it's available. You need the title, the journal name, the volume number, the issue number, the DOI, and if it's not available, use the URL for a scholarly article. Do you know how every week you've been finding those? That's why, because they belong in your reference. So again, I'm not sure if this is the article you were thinking of. You're going to have to write the notation of this. And as you notice, I go through and I read everything. But I really think it is the one you were trying to find. So this had, let me take this out. Do you see, every time you look at something, you're going to find an error. Anyway, so last name, first initial. The first initials only have a period. They don't have a semicolon, nothing else. And when you're connecting things in the reference and the authors, always use the ampersand. Okay, so this person had 2 first name and middle initial, so that goes there. 2020 period, shelter in place is the title. Nothing should be capitalized here, but the first word, the proper noun and noun phrase, which is this, and there you go. Next thing is going to be an italicized statement. It's going to be the journal name, and the journal name is the opposite of the title, more or less. Everything should be capitalized except for an article, a conjunction, or a preposition. That means of, the, unless it's the very front of it. So here we will see again, strangely, we don't know why, the volume number is italicized. The issue number is in parentheses, ends with a period, beginning and ending page numbers ends with a period, and then the digital object identifier. Then your parenthetical will look a lot like this, but they don't use the first name's initials. It's just the last name only. And when you go here, and this is in the text of your work, you use A and D. So it fits the rest of your text, more or less is the explanation for that. So that is how you do this. Now, you do not have you have 2 scholarly articles. This is just the magazine article. Remember the thing that is this? Make sure you go and find that magazine article in Opposing Viewpoints. Not a scholarly article, a magazine article. It has a very clearly marked section. And this is not what you need to have here. This is a very different type of thing. So, yes, I had to double check. It's an emerging and infectious diseases. So you need to go to Opposing Viewpoints and look specifically for a magazine article. That is, search your topic, and then at the top of Opposing Viewpoints, you will have things that say scholarly journals, magazines, viewpoints, statistics. You want to pick the magazine article, not the scholarly. So you need to replace this whole thing, and that is why I did not put a lot of work into it. But I did give you the examples of what it should look like so that you don't have to do something that's a little bit wrong. I might change that. I'm going to look at that to make sure that's right. I think it is. Okay, government documents. You didn't have one, but I found it in your social media section. So I brought that up. I included an example, which again was in Module 7. But here we are. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is the group. The date is actually fuller than you provided. It was 2/20, November 12th. And that's how we put dates in APA. The year, month, never ever abbreviated, day, in parentheses, period, help slow the spread of COVID-19. Nothing is capitalized except for the first word and the proper noun phrase. And the Centers for Disease Control is part of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. If there were more parts of that, you could add it to the end, but that seemed to be correct looking at the page, and the URL. So you actually have that one, but now it means you don't have a social media one. So I moved that around for you. Now I changed your parentheticals and narrative citation pieces down here to reflect the true name to show what those look like. Newspaper. This URL is from Newsbank, but this is the weirdness that showed up again. Journal of Medical Science. This is a scholarly article, probably. I'm not sure how it ended up here. I don't know what to do with that. So you're going to need to find a newspaper article. I didn't find it in the rest of your work. So go back to the thing that you found in Newsbank, and it should be a scholarly article. Now the .org, I just took off. The .org piece, again, there's this mysterious piece. I don't know what it is. So what I did was show you what it's supposed to look like, and I took out what I think you were going with. That was the last piece. And what we have here, it's too much space. See, every time you look at it, there's usually something. So we know it was written by the staff. You need to use the full date, 2/20, August 20th, in parentheses, period. Nothing is capitalized except for a proper noun or noun phrase and a word following a colon, so that H is capitalized, and it ends with the URL. And I have the examples of what those pieces should look like here. So make sure you review this. You're going to send this back to me in its corrected form. Multimedia, again, I don't know why this showed up. Here it is. But you had the name inverted. I think I kind of did a little piece of that going down here. Yeah, you had the name inverted, so I had to fix that piece. So we have here, and also put in what it should look like. Again, this was in Module 7 as a link. So, last name, first initial, period, the full piece for the publication, 2020, comma, July 28th, in parentheses, period. Face mask and COVID, all you need to know. The only thing that should be capitalized would be the F, the first letter, COVID-19, because it's a proper noun and noun phrase, and all because it's after the colon. Now, this also has to be italicized. So I'm glad I went over this. Anyway, so here, when you have a non-print item, APA style likes to put a bracketed description. Suppose this had been a podcast, an image, a table, or something like that. In this case, it's a video. We capitalize the V in video, put it in the brackets inside the period section, and then we go to the place that's holding the video. This could have been YouTube, it could have been PBS, any of those numbers of things. And you end with the URL to where it goes. And I corrected your parenthetical narrative citations to reflect the true last name of the individual writing that particular piece. Now, you need to do a social media piece. You're missing that. It should be Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. I put in the announcements sort of an easy to use Instagram. It's an Instagram thing of people, and you might find something where somebody talks about a face mask or has one on or something like that. They're survivor stories of people who had COVID and they're still alive, and they tell that story. And that might be very interesting for you. But this piece I saw here, and I realized it should have been up under government, so that's where that piece went. So I'm going to write a thing specifically about what you need to redo, and I'd like you to return this. I'm going to also send you an example of my example, and I want it to look like that. Make sure that you use the same font, Times New Roman. 12 point is a good way to go. It's solid. Most of your professors down the line will totally recognize that is appropriate, though the new 7th edition lets you use 2 other ones. Don't let your bold things get out of control. There's no reason for this to be here, so kind of take care with those types of things. And keep to the same font in the same size. Boring, yes, but APA style. What we're doing is taking all this information that looks different, the page numbers are everywhere, everything's at different ways, sometimes everything's capitalized. We're taking all that information and turning it into things that are easy to read, that have a certain style to them. So no matter what it looks like where you're taking it from on your paper, it should have that author, publication date, title, and whatever specific to that format after it every single time, uniformly. And I hope this helps. You can reach out to me. I will be Monday night. I will be doing Zoom, and I'm going to check in during Thanksgiving if you need help with your project. But I would like you to turn this back into me so that it looks beautiful. When you go to do your final project, you will just be using this portion. If you use a quote inside of your piece, your summary, which I really hope you don't do, but some of them are priceless, so do that. I want you to use parenthetical pieces to describe where it is or what it is or something like that. So anyway, I hope that helps. And you're just missing some pieces, and you had some sort of copy paste thing take over your paper. Not sure how that happened. I'm sorry this is so long, but it's actually kind of hard to explain and repetitive, but the repetition is actually what helps you learn it. And I hope you noticed I was catching my errors as I was going through it. Just like when you're writing an essay, it's always great to go over something a couple of different times, sometimes backwards, and all the different ways you can catch mistakes. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day.